happening?
The president of Malawi is coming.
Seriously?
Yeah, sure.
The government of the United Kingdom, through Prime Minister Boris Johnson, hosted the UK-Africa Investment Summit on 20th January 2020 in London. The summit was convened by the United Kingdom to renew its partnership with Africa in the areas of trade and investment. Prime Minister Johnson invited 16 out of the 54 African leaders, and His Excellency the President of the Republic of Malawi, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, was among the 16 invited to this maiden summit. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Francis Kasaira, explained the relevance of the President's participation in the summit.
His Excellency the President, Professor Dr. Mutharika, has prioritized the investment and trade for his government. We know that we have a huge youth population, and the majority of them are looking for employment opportunities, are looking for opportunity that will create worth for themselves and our country. And we believe that a summit like this one, where His Excellency the President will meet a number of very important high-profile individuals, will help us attract as many investors as possible into our country.
Minister responsible for trade and tourism, Salim Bagas, explained the expected benefits of the summit as well as what Malawi can contribute to the global market.
It is true that Malawi has been one of the lucky countries which have been invited to attend this African summit. This has just not happened. It's because of the wise leadership of His Excellency the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika.
Chairperson of the Malawi Investment and Trade Center, MITC, James Chuma, also commented on Malawi's participation at the summit.
We are very much pleased with the presence of His Excellency, the State President of the Republic, because his presence always gives confidence to the business team that has traveled with us here in London.
President Mutharika, accompanied by the First Lady of the Republic of Malawi, Madam Professor Gertrude Mutharika, arrived in London on the 18th of January through Heathrow International Airport. The first couple was met on arrival by several dignitaries that included Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Francis Kasaira, Industry and Trade Minister Salim Bagas, Local Government and Rural Development Minister Ben Malunga Piri, and Malawi's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Kena Mponda. Members of the UK DPP wing also welcomed the President and the First Lady.
As members of the DPP UK wing, we are really excited to see His Excellency Arthur Peter Mutharika and First Lady come to the UK to take part in this investment summit. And this actually puts Malawi on the map, and actually also it's a very good way of helping Malawi to get investment from the UK.
On the day of the summit, President Mutharika was warmly welcomed at the venue by the UK Minister of State at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office and International Development, Andrew Marson. On his part, the host, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, said Her Majesty's government feels contented for renewing its commitment towards Africa.
Africa is the future, and the UK has a huge and active role to play in that future. And I hope you agree. Because we are and we will be a partner, your partner, through thick and thin.
After the official opening, His Excellency the President, having been invited, participated in a panel discussion moderated by Helen Grant. Other panelists were President Paul Kagame of Rwanda, President Alpha Conde of Guinea, and the UK Minister of International Trade, Elizabeth Truss. In the debate, President Mutharika told the world that Africa has to move quickly and be ready for further trade with the United Kingdom. The President also stressed that in that regard, Malawi is on a steady path.
We want to move development instead of from cities to rural areas. We want to move from rural areas to the cities. So our program, we want in every rural community to have 7 elements. 1, there must be sufficient food. 2, there must be potable water. 3, there must be electricity. 4, there must be roads. 5, there must be a secondary school. 6, there must be a community technical college. If we can achieve that, and also a good health center, if we can achieve that, they'll be able to energize people in rural areas, make them more productive. Also, we have introduced community technical colleges. Since I took over power, we have established 28 technical community colleges.
President Mutharika, among other areas, focused on the need to boost energy as a recipe for a lucrative investment, a notion highly commended by one of the ministers in the delegation, Ben Marunga Piri, of Local Government and Rural Development.
This is an excellent initiative, as you're aware that you cannot talk about development without necessarily considering the people on the ground. Secondly, economic growth must be coupled with economic growth at household levels. If that is to happen, rural development will have to play a vital role because it is only after you have developed the rural that the economics within the families will have to grow. Money will get into people's pockets, thereby the affordability of purchases will be done, thereby translating into economic growth.
Another major highlight of the President's visit to the United Kingdom is the presentation he made in form of a public lecture at the University of London's School of Oriental and African Studies, SOAS, upon invitation. Professor Mutharika's lecture was entitled Moving an African Society from Poverty to Prosperity, Challenges and Opportunities. Moderated by Baroness Valerie Amos, the first black woman to serve in the British cabinet and later an advisor to President Nelson Mandela of South Africa, the event was attended by university professors, deans of faculties, and students.
How do you see this investment in infrastructure?
I'd like to formally introduce His Excellency Professor Peter Mutharika, who is the President of the Republic of Malawi. He's a politician, educator, and lawyer who has been President of Malawi since May 2014. And Mr. President, I was trying to remember if we first met when you were Minister of Foreign Affairs or were you Minister of Justice. I couldn't remember which one, but it's a long time ago. So one or the other. The President has worked globally in the field of international justice with expertise on international economic law, international law, and comparative constitutional law. Elected to Parliament in 2009, he has served as Minister of Justice, Minister of Education, Science and Technology, and as Minister of Foreign Affairs. And The President has worked particularly hard to develop and strengthen relations with the United Kingdom.
Delivering his thought-provoking lecture to a fully packed auditorium, President Mutharika urged African countries to move from aid to trade as a way of ending poverty and creating jobs for the youth.
On the contrary, aid has never developed any country anywhere. No country has ever developed because of aid. At base, aid cannot be a stopgap measure in the transition economic autonomy if that aid is invested to productive sectors of the economy, such as agriculture and energy. One of the great opportunities that Malawi is riding on is the advent of aid fatigue within the Western society. More than ever, there is a growing movement of interrogating the aid culture with taxpayers, the media, and non-state actors questioning the governments on the efficacy of aid. The aid culture has declined against the rising demand for trade and investment. Malawi believes that we can develop with foreign investment, direct investment, development of private sector, creation of jobs, and creation of more wealth, and the principle of free markets. As soon as I became lead in Malawi, we aggressively started a foreign direct investment program. We also undertook public sector reforms to improve the business environment. These reforms have included improvement in the legal system because it's our responsibility to set up laws that prevent Malawi from being exploited, while since then being fast rising in the World Doing Business Index. We are now set to do business with the rest of the world.
High-profile figures commended the President on his eloquence on issues, as Hole Tate, UK High Commissioner to Malawi, explained.
His Excellency talked, his main theme was about moving the country from aid to trade, and that is an ambition that as the UK we share for Malawi, and we share an ambition for that in our relationship too. We don't want the focus to be aid, we want it to be trade. We see three critical elements to making that ambition a reality. The first one is, of course, getting investment into the country, and that is why we have invited Malawi to the very important Africa Investment Summit that is happening this week, so that we can try to encourage British investors to come into Malawi, spend money and create jobs.
The Malawi leader also attracted investors when he addressed the Malawi UK Investment Forum held at the Hogan and Lovells in London, where over 18 Malawian companies had an interface with their British and global counterparts who were over 50 in number.
Our policy is to create a bigger private sector and maintain a smaller public sector. This is our starting point. In short, we want a bigger private sector and a smaller but efficient public sector. We have taken measures to create growth of the private sector by doing a number of things. One, we have improving the economy in order to create an environment where investment can grow. Nobody wants to invest in a collapsing economy. Two, we have launched a foreign direct investment program to encourage investors like you to come to Malawi and take up various investment opportunities in Malawi. Three, we have carried out a public sector reform program, including reviewing our legal framework in order to improve the environment of doing business. As a result, Malawi has been rising on the World Bank Index of Doing Business for the last 5 years.
While in London, the president also met with several figures, most of them prospective investors. These included the UK Minister of International Trade and Investment, Stuart Graham, Andrew Benbridge, who is the chairperson of the Private Infrastructure and Development Group, PIDG, Mohan Kaur, patron of the Malawi UK Business Group, Graham Wrigley, chairperson of the Commonwealth Development Corporation, CDC, Mr. Akbar Asif, chairperson of the British Marine Limited, and Mr. Neil Gales, member of the board of Indonesia Group of Companies. The Malawi leader, in his capacity as president of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, also interacted with members of the DPP UK wing. And speaking to the Malawi media team at the end of his tour of duty in London, His Excellency the President, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika, described his visit to London as successful. Professor Mutharika also told the media why he decided to bring 18 companies with him, some of which were public entities.
I want, as I always say, a big private sector and a small public sector. I want the public government to start pulling out of managing the economy and let the private sector guide the economy, like they do in other countries, in this country, America, elsewhere. So I want to bring them here for them to understand that they're part of this game, that if the country is going to develop, if we are going to create jobs, it's going to be the private sector. Government don't create jobs. If you hear somebody saying they're going to create 1 million jobs in 3 months, I think they're crazy, because nobody can do that. It's a private sector that creates jobs through growth. As they grow, they'll need more workers, so employ more people. So it's very, very important that they should come here and talk with their counterparts. They speak the same language, although at different ends, opposite ends of the equation. They speak the same language. I think they understand each other better, I'm sure. And I could see they were relating to each other very, very well, and that's why I brought them here.
The Malawi leader also reminded the media from Malawi why in all his presentations he emphasized on the need to invest in energy as a recipe for investment.
At the moment, as you know, we only have 11% penetration. We would like to, by end of this decade, 2030, I would like to have at least 30 to 40% penetration. It's so important to have power, because there are rural areas, and issue of power is nowadays, wherever there is, through marriage, wherever there is electricity, you have young people, barber shops, welding, all sorts of things, saloons, all sorts of things, depending on electricity, to do those kind of zigayo, and so forth. So power is so important there in the rural areas, but in the urban and the rest of the country at the macroeconomic level, in terms of production, we need power in mining, manufacturing, agriculture, all those things. To build all those roads, we need power.
A great man with great ideas, a statesman, a visionary leader. That's how President Mutharika was described by various stakeholders he interacted with when he visited London for the inaugural UK-Africa Investment Summit.